What is up, guys? What is up? So today, big news. The Supreme Court shut down the Trump tariffs in the executive order. There's some scandal that is involved with that with Howard Lutnick. And I also want to talk about the interview that Tucker Carlson had with Mike Huckabee. It was fiery. It was interesting. So I'm going to react to it, guys. You know how I do it. So let's get into it, shall we? Boom. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and share, and hit the bell on my YouTube at Townsley R. And also follow me on X at Ryan Townsley. All right, guys, let's get into this. So this was updated 32 minutes ago. Live updates. Supreme Court's tariff ruling adds new uncertainty in global trade. The decision is a major setback for President Trump, who lashed out at the justices who ruled against him and raised questions about the trade deals his administration has struck with countries around the world. Here's the latest. The Supreme Court decision on Friday striking down President Trump's sweeping global tariffs dealt a major blow to his economic agenda and brought new uncertainty to global markets struggling to adapt to his whipsawing trade policies. The court, in a 6-3 decision written by Chief Justice John G. Roberts Jr., ruled that Mr. Trump had exceeded his authority when he imposed tariffs on nearly every U.S. trading partner last year. The ruling prompted a defiant response from the president. In a news conference at the White House, he vowed to restore tariffs using other authority and exonerated the justices who had ruled against him as fools and lapdogs. What's crazy is some of the people that ruled against him are people that he put into power. So obviously there is some merit to ruling against him. Like, this isn't just a Democrat thing, right? The ruling threw into doubt a series of trade deals with countries around the world that the administration struck in recent months, and left unclear whether U.S. companies or consumers would be able to reclaim some of the more than $200 billion fees in federal government the federal government has collected since the start of the year. Justice Brett Kavanaugh warned in a dissent that any refund progress could be a substantial mess. Okay, so no refunds. Mr. Trump was the first president to claim that the 1977 emergency statute, which does not mention the word tariffs, allowed him to unilaterally impose the duties without congressional approval. Writing for the majority, Chief Justice Roberts said that the statute did not. The court's ruling, backed by justices from across the ideological spectrum, was a rare and significant example of the Supreme Court pushing back on Mr. Trump's agenda. A small but vocal group of Republicans in Congress joined Democrats in celebrating the court's ruling, reflecting frustration that their branch of government has ceded its authority over trade matters to the White House. Senator Mitch McConnell, the Kentucky Republican and former longtime party leader, said the ruling left no room for doubt that Mr. Trump's circumventing of Congress was illegal. Now, I wasn't too big on the tariffs. Like, when Trump originally ran, I was excited about them because I thought they would be very strategic and carefully placed. But knowing Trump, he's a wild card. He kind of works as like a bulldozer. So the tariffs caused a lot of economic uncertainty. And I don't know if this is true or not, but like, my mechanic was even telling me that, look, we extended your warranty on the cars because due to the tariffs. Now, this is according to him. I don't know if this is true. But he said that according to the tariffs on a lot of the car parts, people were making these parts cheaper and the parts were lower quality because of the tariffs. So therefore he gave me a longer warranty because he I was driving a Subaru. Subaru is a Japanese car, Japanese parts. So, if the parts are cheaper because of the tariffs, that's obviously not a good thing. Now, if I have a Subaru and that's the car that I just have now, it's kind of inconvenient. If the tariffs get placed in, am I just going to just buy an American car like that? No, probably not. But this is the part that made me even more concerned about this, was Howard Lutnick. Now, if you guys have been following the news, or at least following my videos, Howard Lutnick proven liar, Epstein friend. To what extent, we don't know, but obviously did a lot of business with him. Now, apparently, Howard Lutnick has profited off of this Supreme Court ruling. Listen to this. Trump's secretary silent as sons poised to make bank from end of tariffs. The Supreme Court decision striking down Donald Trump's many tariffs may prove to be a windfall for the family of Commerce Secretary Howard Lutnick, a key architect of Trump's signature economic policy. In July, Wired reported that Cantor Fitzgerald, which Lutnick chaired until he was appointed to Trump's cabinet, was allowing its traders to purchase the rights to hundreds of millions of dollars of refunds in the event the tariffs were struck down in court. The firm now happens to be headed by Lutnick's son, Kyle and Brandon. The magazine cited a letter from the firm explaining how Cantor Fitzgerald was willing to exchange refund rights for 20 to 30% of what the companies paid. So for a company that paid $10 million, they could expect to receive $2 to $3 million in a trade, a Cantor Fitzgerald representative wrote. We have the capacity to trade up to several hundred million of these presently and can likely upsize that in the future to meet a potential demand. The letter indicated that the firm already had one company agree to a deal worth about $10 million. It's been 7 months since then, and Cantor Fitzgerald has had plenty of time to make other such lucrative deals. The fact that it's Cantor Fitzgerald, that raises some questions. Tim Meyer, a professor of international business law at Duke University School of Law, told Wired, it's quite interesting that the Commerce Secretary's firm is the one that is betting the tariffs will be struck down. That strikes me as a very interesting and quite telling about what those with connections to the administration think about the merits of the tariffs. Lutnick has been a steadfast proponent of Trump's tariffs, frustrating many Republicans and staffers within the White House. He fought the efforts of others within the administration, such as the Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent and National Economic Council Chair Kevin Hassett, to put limits on Trump's tariffs. Lutnick has yet to comment on Friday's court ruling. Does his firm bet mean he's never really believed in the tariffs to begin with and was lying to the public about them? Does his kids know something the rest of us don't? Well, I don't know. And the thing is if we go here, just listen. I'm just going to play a couple minutes of this, but just listen to how our boy Alex Jones, however you feel about Alex Jones, I get it. He lied about Sandy Hook or was misinformed, whatever. But he's right about this issue. Let's just listen to what he has to say here.
What Kavanaugh's saying is what the president did was constitutional, but in the executive order was not worded properly. And who wrote the executive order? Put him on screen, please. Howard lied about going to Jeffrey Epstein's island, lived next door to him. Lutnick.
Okay, and if you guys have looked into the files, there is a picture of like a dentist chair with all these creepy, uncanny masks on the wall. And one of the masks is this mask on the left that has been put over Howard Lutnick's face in this picture. Now, tell me that mask doesn't look like Howard. I'm just saying, it's a weird coincidence.
So I have it's really less than a year because it took a while to get everybody appointed. The last 10 months, I've sat back, I've watched, and I've said, I'm not sure who the villains are, who the good guys are. We have a very clear picture now, and I think you all agree with me. Howard Lutnick needs to go, bye-bye. Pam Bondi, bye-bye. If Trump doesn't want a scandal out of it, just send him to Antarctica. Tell him go up there to the Arctic Research Facility or something. Count. Go to the Antarctic. Count penguins and leopards.
Yeah, man. It's kind of scary that the Trump administration has been compromised so much. Here's what Trump had to say about the tariffs today.
Very fair question. They take months and months to write an opinion, and they don't even discuss that point. We've taken in hundreds of billions of dollars, not millions, hundreds of billions of dollars. And so I said, well, what happens to all the money that we took in? It wasn't discussed. Wouldn't you think they would have put one sentence in there saying that keep the money or don't keep the money, right? I guess it has to get litigated for the next 2 years. So they write this terrible, defective decision, totally defective. It's almost like not written by smart people. And what they do, they don't even talk about that. Your question is very basic. That was the first question I asked also to make you feel good. They say, what about all the money that we've taken in? Sir, they don't discuss that. How crazy is that? Very fair question.
Yeah, crazy. Now that clip again was very quiet. I'll try to edit it out in editing to make it louder, but I'll do what I can. You might have to turn it up at that point. But yeah, this is very, very interesting. Now, I'm hoping that this brings more clarity to the market. I'm hoping that the push, the easing of the tariffs could bring economic prosperity. Who knows? We'll see what happens. But another reason why I think the Trump administration is compromised is because of Mike Huckabee and Israel and just the whole Israeli stuff that Trump's involved in. So let's just listen to what Huckabee said on Fox. And then we're going to go into the Tucker Carlson interview where Tucker Carlson absolutely grills Mike Huckabee. Let's listen to what he has to say right here. This says, Huckabee says the U.S. should give money to Israel for losses suffered bombing Gaza and dusting. What does he mean by this? Let's see.
Should Israel be expected to even pay one penny to rebuild Gaza at this point?
Absolutely not. Absolutely not. And I'll tell you, if anything, there ought to be reparations to Israel for the extraordinary fight that they have had to conduct to get their hostages back, 252, including many Americans.
Wait. This is so Israel first. Who's going to pay the reparations? The United States? Okay, so Republicans for years have denied reparations for black people, African Americans after slavery, which I don't think anybody should get reparations. That's my opinion. But then they're going to, in the same breath, turn around and say, oh, we need to give Israel reparations. Okay, let's just raise taxes on people and give it to Israel. See, this stuff disgusts me. This is not America first at all. This is Israel first. So here's another crazy one. Ambassador Lutnick just challenged Tucker Carlson for working with Agro and pushing him against false claim that the IDF killed a little boy. I don't know if this is a false claim, just because Huckabee denies it, but let's listen to this exchange.
Some lunatics.
Can I ask you something?
Yes.
You platformed a guy, you had him on your show, Tony Aguilar.
Don't platform anyone.
Well, you interviewed.
Not a liberal,
Tony
so I don't
Aguilar.
platform people.
Okay, you interviewed Tony Aguilar, who claimed that IDF soldiers killed a little boy in his presence. That didn't happen.
Okay.
It did not happen.
I don't know.
Let me give you the
know
story.
if you know whether it happened or not.
Well, I
mean,
can tell you why I know it didn't happen.
Okay.
Because we found that little boy less than a week later.
All right.
I was involved, heavily involved, in helping to extricate him from Gaza. 4 different countries were involved in getting he and his mother to safety, get them out of there. Tony Aguilar is a liar.
Okay.
Tony Aguilar claimed that he saw an IDF soldier shoot the little boy. He was fired from the GHF for cause, and he begged for his job back, and they wouldn't give it back because they didn't want him. And he told them that if they didn't give his job back, that he would burn them down.
Okay.
So he goes out. No, let me finish this because it's important for you to understand.
Right.
So this guy then goes out and makes up this story that he witnessed IDF soldiers shooting a little boy.
I don't know that he made it up. He seemed to believe it to me. It's possible he's wrong. I've been wrong many times.
Well, this is a little bit more than just missing a fact. He claimed to be an eyewitness to the murder of a little boy. Okay. A little boy that a week later we found.
And you're sure it's the same little boy?
We're absolutely certain.
How do you know that?
Because we have pictures of him. We had descriptions of him. We know his name. We know his mother.
Okay.
He was extricated out of Gaza. It was a very delicate situation to get him out because if Hamas had found out that he was still alive, they would have killed him in order to validate Aguilar's story.
What doesn't make sense to me is, I don't know if this story is true or not. I have no idea. But what I do know is that the IDF has killed hundreds of thousands of children and women. and then they claim because Hamas used them as human shields. So if the IDF is willing to drop a massive bomb on a city in Palestine and kill a bunch of people that are innocent, maybe like 15 Hamas members and 100 civilians, then why is there this conceited effort to get this one kid out? It just doesn't add up to me. But I could be wrong. If you guys have any information on this little boy, please put it in the comments.
You know that.
So he gets out.
How do you know Hamas would have killed him?
Why wouldn't they? Wouldn't they have wanted to kill him? Because that way they could have said that this story was true.
Look,
that I'm just telling you that
what
this
you're saying
kid
is
alive
true, and I have
today.
no basis of knowing.
Yeah.
I'm really glad, because I don't
Good.
want little kids to get killed, even 14-year-olds. Okay.
You shouldn't want anyone to get
But let
killed.
me ask you: is it true? He also made the claim, and he had audio of it and video too, that U.S. contractors were using live ammunition to disperse crowds, and he had video of that. Do you know did he make up that video?
There were times, here's what happened. Crowds would come toward the sites. They were given verbal warnings, and then they were given additional verbal warnings, and shots were fired either in the air, sometimes in the ground. And if they continued to come and threaten, there were times when there were people who were engaged in firefights. That happened.
Oh, they were armed?
Sometimes they were.
They were. Do you know of specific instances where they were armed?
I can probably get you some specific information about that.
I think I know the answer to that. I don't
Okay.
think there's any evidence at all that they were armed.
But I also know that
Are you okay with using live ammunition at aid distribution sites for families, women, and
Well,
children?
very rarely did this happen near.
How about
aid
at all?
distribution.
Are you okay with that?
No. I'll tell you what I'm not
seem like
okay
you're
with.
okay
No. I think you are so trying to put words in my
I'm
mouth.
not. You said that they were firing back, but then there's no evidence that they were.
On a Sunday afternoon, I can remember when there was widespread reports on BBC, CNN, and the New York Times, and they said that 27 people were killed at a feeding site. We had video extensively over that site. Not one single person, not only were they not shot, nobody was shot at. There was not one bit of violence that happened at that feeding site.
You're trying to get me to defend BBC? Not going to do that. It's like
hope
defending Hamas. I agree with you. I don't believe anything I see in the media. It's just that it's really simple. If people are using, and these were American contractors, by the way, these are not Israelis that I'm aware of. American contractors run by some crypto minister or something was running the group. If they're using live ammunition at an aid distribution site, that strikes me as totally unacceptable.
They were not firing.
Does it seem
crowds.
acceptable to you?
They were not firing
If
at crowds.
people got killed, there's a way
And
to.
some of those people got killed because Hamas were trying to keep them from getting to the aid distribution sites because Hamas was controlling the food. Hamas made $500 million selling the food that was supposed to be given away for free.
Defend Hamas.
And what they were trying to do is to keep people from going to the sites where they were getting food for free. When we set GHF up,
Hamas
the
bad,
first thing that
BBC
happened,
bad.
I know,
Agreed.
but I'm telling you, the first thing that people said was, wow, this is the first time we've had food that we got for free.
Is it
'Cause they
okay
had
to
buy
shoot
it.
unarmed people?
I just told you it wasn't.
That's awful.
Yeah.
It's awful.
Of course it's awful.
Are all lives equal, do you think?
Of course they are.
So the death of a Palestinian is every bit as important and significant as the death of Israel?
Why wouldn't it be? Of course it is.
I don't know.
Of course it is. There's no such thing as a human soul that God made that is less valuable than another. I'm pro-life.
See, that's the thing where Mike Huckabee's full of shit, is because obviously no one is saying that October 7th was a great thing. But if we talk about the fatalities, I mean, way more Palestinians have died than Israelis when it comes to this war. So if you're going to justify killing a bunch of Palestinians because of October 7th, then obviously the conclusion would be drawn that Jewish life is more valuable than Palestinian life. I mean, how else do you justify that, right? It doesn't make sense to me. And what also doesn't make sense to me is if you're going to drop a bomb on a city and kill hundreds of thousands of people, and you know ahead of time that Hamas is using these people as human shields, why choose to still attack and kill all these people anyway? I mean, it's just like the whole thing doesn't make sense to me, guys.
Me too.
So I believe that every life has intrinsic worth and value. There's no such thing as a worthless or a completely disposable life. That's what makes me pro-life, Tucker.
I totally agree.
And I believe that from the conception until the end of natural life.
That's why I would never say when confronted with the death of children, war is terrible, because it minimizes the deaths of those children. It's awful. And
I don't think it minimizes. I think it is
War is
outrageous. It's a terrible thing. I wish we never had war. Why do we have war?
We're about to have one with Iran, it looks like. How many Americans do you think will die in that war?
I hope none. None died last year when we participated in the 12-day war. Not one.
My sense
You said
is-
20,000 would die, and they didn't.
I said could, and they could have. And
But
they
they didn't.
could die now, and that's a real risk.
How many boots on the ground do you think the U.S. has supplied for Israel over the course of its life? How many times have we put soldiers on the ground for Israel?
Well, we had the Iraq War, which was for Israel.
No,
I
it
think
wasn't
it's
for Israel.
How was it?
Mike Huckabee is so wrong. We used Israeli intelligence, and Bibi Netanyahu came to Washington, D.C. and begged us to join in the Iraq War because he was pushing the weapons of mass destruction hoax. So Mike Huckabee is a liar.
For us.
Well, because it was a retribution against 9/11. Now, was it the best idea?
Was
It was
Iraq
not for-
involved in 9/11?
Our government thought so.
Why are 9/11 documents still classified?
I have no idea.
Yeah, I'm siding with Tucker on this a little bit. There's a couple other ones I wanted to show you. Mike Huckabee struggles to answer Tucker's simple question. Let's see what that.
Some lunatics.
Can
who
I
did.
ask you, in the entirety of the world, there are about 16 million Jews total, and 8 million of them live here. The rest live mostly in New York or South Florida, and a few other places.
Okay.
So this is a small population of people. They have connection to this land, historically, biblically.
Do they?
Yes, they do.
If Bibi's family, we know they lived in Eastern Europe. There's no evidence they ever lived here. He's not religious.
But
in what sense
ancestrally- but
how do we know
ancestrally-
that? Do you have his family tree? No, we don't.
Do you?
He doesn't. So no one does. That's the point.
But
So
if
how do
there
we
is-
know that he
but
has any
if they
connection
are
to this land at
Jewish,
all?
And if there has been a practice of Judaism and a connection to the language,
But
the
he
Bible,
doesn't-
the land,
His ancestors didn't. He doesn't practice Judaism in any rigorous way. His ancestors didn't live here. They didn't speak the language, and there's no evidence they ever lived here. So on what basis does he have a right
very
to be
much
here?
speaks the language. He has fought for the land. His family has
I
fought
feel
for
like
the
you're
land.
dodging a
No, I'm not
very
dodging.
obvious question, which is where does this right come from? And the
I've-
reason
I've
it's
given
meaningful
you that
is
answer.
because there are a lot of people in the territory that Israel controls today, particularly in the West
Mm-hmm.
Bank, who, through genetic testing, we can know their families have been here for thousands of years. We don't know whether they practiced Judaism, whether they were Samaritans, pre-Islam. We don't know that. A lot of them we know have been Christians for 2,000 years. They have less of a right to the land than someone whose ancestors, the only thing we know about them is they lived in Latvia or Poland. They're Eastern European.
And that's the thing that doesn't make sense to me, is Israel is a new country after World War II. A bunch of the Holocaust survivors and Jews from Europe came and established Israel because it was colonized by the UK. They needed to give a home to the Jews from Europe, and so they pushed out the Arabs and they made Israel. Now, they justify doing this because they say that Israel, the Jews, are God's chosen people and God gave them this land. But the thing is, if you're a Christian, which I was raised Catholic, okay, so that actually goes against my religion because I don't believe that God has any chosen people. I think we're all God's chosen people. So why should I give the Jews the benefit of the doubt when they have just this right to own Israel when they don't even acknowledge that Jesus is the Son of God? And in fact, why are we rewarding the Jews who killed Jesus, the land of the chosen people? It just doesn't add up. And what's even weirder about it is, ironically, the Muslims actually acknowledge that Jesus is a prophet. The Muslims acknowledge Jesus. Obviously, Christianity is founded under Jesus. But then the Jews don't believe anything with Jesus. They don't believe Jesus was the Son of God or anything. So then how can us Christians sit there and say, oh, well, they are privileged to this land because God gave it to them. So do us Christians have to just say, oh, we're less than the Jews? Oh, let's just accept that. Yeah, we follow Christianity, but the Jews are superior. Like, it just really doesn't make sense to me. How can you justify that they deserve this land just because they're Jewish? That'd be like saying that, oh, let's give the whole United States back to the Native Americans because this is the Native American land. Like, it just doesn't make any sense to me. It doesn't historically make any sense.
How does that work?
They're Jewish.
By what definition?
They're Jewish by their
But how do we know they have any
ethnicity.
connection
They're
to
Jewish
the
by
Jews
their
of the,
faith. They're
of the
Jewish
Bible?
by the connection to the language. Jewish by the connection to the Torah.
But how do we know that Bibi, specifically Bibi's ancestors, ever lived here? How do we know that?
I'm not sure if I understand your question.
How do we know if the Prime Minister of Israel's ancestors ever lived?
Maybe I could ask you, how do we know they didn't? I mean,
Well, it's on the basis of the claim that they did that all kinds of things happen. People are displaced. There's a money flow. I mean, it's a big question. A lot hangs on this. It's not some theoretical thing like, oh, did my grandparents do this or do that? It's like, no, we have a right to be here because my ancestors were here. Okay, how do we know they were here?
I'm totally unable to process what you're trying to get at.
Huckabee is so establishment brainwashed that he can't even think outside the box. He just says it's a fact that they're entitled to
platformed
this
a guy.
land.
You had him on your.
They're entitled to it. Let's listen to what else they have to say. U.S. Ambassador Mike Huckabee tells Tucker Carlson that Israel has the biblical right to take all of the Middle East. It would be fine if they took it all. This is what I'm talking about, guys. This is insane. So us Christians have to take away our religion, put the Jewish religion above us, and say they have a right to just take over the Middle East because they're God's chosen people. They're the Jews. They're better than the Muslims. That's what they're basically saying. It doesn't make any sense to me. It's actually bonkers.
You've appealed to Genesis. Genesis 15 says it's Abram, it's pre-Abraham, it's Abram, receives from God the news that his descendants will inherit the land. And you tell me as the theologian if I'm getting this wrong, but from the Euphrates to the Nile. I think that's right. And that would include basically the entire Middle East. That would be the Levant. So that would be Israel, Jordan, Syria, Lebanon. It would also be big parts of Saudi Arabia and Iraq. It would be,
I'm not sure it would go that far. I mean, it would be a big piece of land, but here's the point.
It would be a lot of places that are now countries.
But this particular area that we're talking about now, Israel, is a land that God gave through Abraham to a people that he chose. It was a people.
I just find it a huge red flag that you are basing your foreign policy off of what God said or what religion says. Like, your foreign policy shouldn't be theological. It doesn't make any sense to me. Is Mike Huckabee even a Christian? It doesn't make any sense. This is wacky. This is like Lulu La La Land. And all the conspiracy theories about Israel seem more true than ever.
People, a place, and a purpose. We can look at it that way. Christian Zionism, I want to go back because that's where we started on this.
I'm not going to let you off on this because you have said it 3 times that God gave this land to this people. And so it is entirely fair for me with respect to ask, what land are you talking about? Because I just read Genesis 15, as I have many times. And that land, I think it says, from the Nile to the Euphrates, which is, once again, basically the entire Middle East. So God gave that land to his people, the Jews, or he didn't. You're saying he did. What does that mean? Does Israel have the right to that land? Because you're appealing to Genesis. You're saying that's the original deed.
It would be fine if they took it all.
Guys, I mean, what the hell are we talking about? Are we talking about Israel taking over the whole Middle East? Is that what this Iran thing is all about? Are we going to Iran because Israel has this God-given right to conquer the entire Middle East. That just doesn't add up to me. If we're talking about the Bible, thousands and thousands and thousands of years ago, God said that this land is for the Jews. Okay, fine. But why would the Jews kill Jesus? So we have to reward the same people that killed Jesus? It just doesn't make any sense. Look, I would never justify any foreign policy on any religion. I wouldn't justify it on Islam, Christianity, Judaism, none of that. I think religion should be taken out when it comes to foreign policy. Are we going to war because of this theory that God has favored the Jews and has favored Israel? That doesn't sound Christian at all to me. It sounds preposterous. It just makes no sense at all. What else is this? I'll do one more. A 14-year-old deserves to die because they work for Hamas. Tucker Carlson baffled by Mike Huckabee's view on deaths of young Palestinians in Gaza. Wouldn't you do whatever it took? I can tell you I would never murder children. Here's the thing. If your kids were kidnapped by somebody and that kidnapper took your kids and put them in a underground hotel, would you just blow up a hotel and destroy it to save your kids? That doesn't make any sense to me. So in order for me to save my children, I have to kill children. That doesn't make any sense. This is how they justify the war in Gaza, which is why it's so unpopular.
I wish that none of those people in Gaza had been killed after October the 8th. Well, I say not none of them. I'm glad Mohammed Sinwar was killed. I'm glad that some of those warriors, the people who masterminded and carried out the atrocities of October 7th.
14-year-old Hamas operatives, how do you feel about their deaths?
If they participated in that, then God help them. I'm telling you,
what does
Tucker,
that mean, God help
I don't know that they were 14 years. No, but I'm telling you that when someone commits the acts of atrocity and then they hold hostages, if these were your children being held hostage in Gaza, what would you do to get them out?
I wouldn't want to kill 14-year-olds. I'll tell you that.
Let me ask you something. Would you do whatever it took to get your kids back if they were being tortured, raped, starved,
I would
and
not
beaten?
kill children.
See, Mike Huckabee, if his children were taken, he's willing to kill other people's children in order to get his children back. The morals of these people are disgusting. These people are sick. They're absolutely sick. These are warmongers we're talking about. Republican warmongers that will do anything to justify killing children in Gaza because they think that the Jews are the supreme race that must conquer the Middle East. It's sick to me.
Period.
Well, I'm just telling you.
And I would never make excuses for killing children either.
And I'm not talking about targeting children. I'm talking about...
You told me that 14-year-olds deserve to die because they're working for Hamas.
I'm telling you...
My question is, can you hear yourself?
I do hear myself.
So do you think a 14-year-old child has agency? Do you think that he deserves to die because he's being used by adults? Isn't his death a crushing tragedy?
If he's holding a gun and he's pointing it at someone who's trying to save a hostage, and the only way to save that hostage... I'm telling you, war is a horrible thing. It's a horrible thing. And a lot of innocent people
I think I'm the one who thinks war is a horrible thing.
No. I think what you don't
I'm trying to explain how horrible it is, and you're saying that the 14-year-old deserved to die.
Yeah. This is the thing is like, the whole thing is just cause war. Like, is this entire war operation worth killing 14-year-old soldiers? I don't think it is. I really don't think it is. The whole thing just is so fishy to me. And then apparently Tucker was also detained by Israeli security. This has already been a long video, so I'm just going to call it here. But yeah, I don't know. Israel has so much influence in our government. So much money has been poured from Israel into our politicians. And then so much money has been taken out of our tax dollars and sent to Israel. There's obviously this huge Israeli influence in our country. Our foreign policy is apparently dictated by Judaism, Zionism. They say we're a Judeo-Christian country, but the Jews don't believe in Jesus. The whole thing is just so odd to me, guys. Tell me where I'm wrong in the comments. Call me anti-Semitic, because I guarantee you if this video gets popular, I will have tons of Republicans in the comments claiming that I'm anti-Semitic. That's how it goes. That's how this goes. A bunch of Republicans start acting like Democrats, and they just throw the anti-Semitic flag out there just like they would throw the race card out there. So I don't hate the Jews. I just do not trust the Israeli government. That's all I got for you guys today. Make sure you like, comment, subscribe, and share, and hit the bell on my YouTube channel at Townsley R, and follow me on X at Ryan Townsley. Right there. And this is Townsley R signing out. Bye-bye.